There was this man, and this man, he made it his life goal to climb the tallest mountain. And he set out to do it, and this was his only goal. This was the only thing that he would get to the end of his life, and he'd be like, that's what I did, was I climbed the tallest mountain. And when it comes to climbing mountains and climbing big mountains, you don't just climb a mountain. You can't just one day say, I'm going to go climb the tallest mountain. No, it takes preparation. It takes setup. It takes training. It takes an understanding of what you're getting yourself into. And as this man set off to climb the tallest mountain, he needed to buy boots. He needed boots. He needed pants that would make the journey. He needed to get the supplies that it took to sleep on the mountain and to make it up and to make it more than just a one-day trip. He needed a tent. He needed the supplies, the food, the water to make it to the top of the mountain. So he bought all the things to do it. And the people said, hey, if you want to climb that tallest mountain, you need to train a little bit. So he grabbed his backpack full, and he trained, and he hiked, and he walked. He broke in his new boots until it was time to climb the mountain. It was finally time to climb the mountain. He grabbed all his things and set off for the week's journey. That it wasn't just a week, but it was multiple weeks. And he started climbing. He started climbing. And this journey, it wore him down. He climbed boulders, hiked for hours, alone, in the rain and the cold. Man, the wildlife he saw was amazing. He saw things that some people will never see in their life as he's starting to climb the tallest mountain. As he gets to the top of this mountain, his feet, they show the story and the calluses of what he's been through. His beard grew long and dirty. His hair dirty, long, nappy from the journey. And he gets to the top. And tired, weary, he gets to look out at the grandness of what he has done. That he's looking out and he doesn't see hills, he doesn't see land, because all he sees is the top of the clouds because he's that high in the air. That the air is brisk and the sun and the sky is beautiful. But as this man celebrates what he has done, he looks around, and to his disappointment, he looks behind him. And the mountain he climbed was not the tallest mountain, because he looks around and there was yet a taller mountain. Now, guys, one of my biggest fears is not to live a life that is a failure, not to get to the end of my life and be like, I failed. No, one of my biggest fears is actually getting to the end of my life, working that hard, and realizing, dang, I worked hard in all the wrong things, that I got to the top of the wrong mountain. And the reason I say this story is because as we open up the Word today, we're going to look at the story of a man who was alive, and he was on this earth 3,000 years ago. And he reached the top of every mountain. He reached the top of every mountain that anybody could ever say, that's the one that's going to fulfill me. He had the money. He had the fame. He had the power. He had all the pleasure, the success, the wisdom. And yet, looking down from the top of his pedestal of where he's gotten to, he's realized that, dang, I don't know if this is what I thought it was. And as we open up this book of Ecclesiastes, there's one word that this man uses to describe everything that he has been through. And it's the simple word, meaningless. Meaningless. So if you have your book, if you have your Bible, open up to Ecclesiastes. We're going to start in verse 1, and we're going to go throughout a bunch of this book. The guy who wrote this book, it's kind of a poem. It's literature. It's something you'd read, and it sounds nice. But the man who wrote it, his name is Solomon. And if you don't know about Solomon, there's a story in the Old Testament where God comes to King Solomon, who's the son of David, King David. And he comes to Solomon and he says, hey, ask for anything and I'll give it to you. And what Solomon says is, hey, God, what I want is I don't want money, I don't want this. What I want is, can you give me wisdom so I can lead your people? Wisdom so I can lead your people. And what God said was, hey, that's a righteous answer. So I'm going to give you wisdom. But I'm not only going to give you wisdom, I'm going to give you power, and I'm going to give you money, and you're going to have everything that you've ever desired and wanted. And that's how we see where he is right now, because he has had a ton of wives. He has had all the money. He has been to all the places. He has had all the splendor. He's had all the kingdoms. And yet he still writes this poem. And so if you are there, I'm just going to start reading. Ecclesiastes 1, verse 1. It starts off like this. It says, the words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. He says, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets. It hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye has never had enough seeing, nor is the ear full of hearing. It has been, what has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new? It was there already, long ago. It was here before our time. No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. Meaningless. Solomon had everything. He had it all. He chased everything the world says to chase. Everything that he thought would bring him fulfillment, that would bring him happiness. Yet he comes to the end of his life and he says, it's just meaningless. It means nothing. And so the question for today, it's a pretty big question. And I don't know if you're wrestling with this question or ever have wrestled with this question, but there might be a day that you wrestle with this question. But it's this: is his life really meaningless? And if it is meaningless, then what can I go to give me meaning? What can I go to give me meaning? Does my work not matter? Does the things I achieve not matter? Is it just time wasted? Am I just supposed to just use my free will to do random things and just enjoy life? Or am I supposed to travel and see the world and see what it has to offer? What gives me meaning? Guys, I think I'm going to answer that question for us. I don't think those things are going to give us meaning either. But guys, here, as we walk through this sermon today, we're going to find out what really does give meaning. And what really does give meaning is in a small word that has a big definition, that we're going to figure out how we live this out. But it's a small word, and it's called purpose. It's called purpose. We're going to talk about what is purpose, why is purpose so important, and how do we actually live out purpose? What does it look like for us to have purpose in our life? Because guys, let me be real with you, is God made every single one of us, every single one of you on purpose, and he's made you for a purpose, that we're not an accident, that we're not here just to waste time, that we're not here just to wake up every morning, do our work, and go back to sleep. There's more. There's more, and we don't have to come to our end of our life and be like, this is meaningless. So what is purpose? The definition of purpose, this is the definition I came up with after thinking of an easier way to say it. It's simply this, is purpose is the reason for your existence. Yeah, duh. Purpose is the reason for your existence. Guys, we all have purpose because we have a reason for our existence. Now, what we might not all have or do is we might not all live to our purpose, and that might be why we don't find meaning or we feel like life might be pointless, is because we don't live up to our purpose. Guys, our purpose is to be in relationship with God and to do the will of God. It's simple. I think we all have the same purpose as humans. Now, how we do that changes. But let me put it this way. Is my dad has this big truck. He has a Ford F-350. It's a 2001. It's an old truck. And guys, the purpose of this truck, what it was built to do, the reason for this truck's existence is to pull heavy things. It's to do work. It's to throw wood in the back of it and then get the job done. It's a truck that we could load probably every single one of us in this room into the bed of it. We might not fit, but the truck can pull that much weight. That this truck could probably pull a house. It was meant to do hard work. It was meant to be worked with. It was meant to be abused. It was meant to take the grunt of the work. That's what this big truck was made for. Now, my dad has this truck, and you know what he does every day? Starts it up in the morning, lets it warm up. He drives it 8 minutes to work and 8 minutes back home from work every single day. Drives it home and back. Now, my dad knows what this truck is for, and we use this truck to tow our trailer. We use it for what it's made for, but what he does is drive it to work and back. What if at the end of the day he's like, man, this truck sucks. It doesn't get good gas mileage. It's loud. Nobody wants to ride in it. It's super uncomfortable. It's just super bumpy, not comfortable to drive. This is the worst car ever. He might as well get a Prius if he's just driving to work and back, right? And what if he complained to Ford and he's like, hey Ford, your truck sucks because it barely gets me to work. It's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to ride in it with me. It gets terrible gas mileage. Ford would be like, oh my gosh, you have missed the point. You've missed the point of why it was made. Because if you used it for what it was intended for, you'd be amazed at what it can do, the power it has, that it can get your job done. It'll do what it's made to do, but it's not meant to just go to work and back. It was built for a higher purpose than that. It was not made for that. But if it was used for its intended purpose, for the reason of its existence, it will impress you with what it can do. Guys, is that we were created to be in relationship with God. That we oftentimes live against that. That's why we don't find purpose. That's why we find that it feels pointless, feels empty. Guys, in Ecclesiastes, he says, in another translation, it says, it's all vanity. It's all meaningless. It means nothing. Guys, that Solomon has explored what the world has to offer, and he's found that, dang, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make me happy. Guys, we're not created to chase the things of this world. That our purpose is greater than just chasing the things of this world. Because the world, it doesn't offer true purpose because they're things that don't last. That car we want, it doesn't last. That job we want, it doesn't last. They're all things that go away when we go to heaven. Ecclesiastes 2, verse 17, it says it this way. It says, so I hated life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. He has set his life out to find something that gives him purpose, yet he's found nothing in the world. Nothing in the world. That he hated life because what's the freaking point? To wake up, make money? What then? What then? If we're looking for purpose, we need to look to what we are made to do, what we were created for, the reason for our existence, and that was relationship with God. We need to look for what gives us lasting meaning, and that's relationship with God and doing the will of God. We're never going to find it in the world. Never going to find it in the world. There's this music artist who I really, really love. It's not Olivia Rodrigo. His name is Post Malone, or his artist name is Post Malone. Who here knows Post Malone? Great music. Great music. He low-key, really cool guy. Like, he can sing probably any genre because he started with rap and now he's doing like country and everything in between. Has a song in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, really good artist. His voice is amazing. I don't know if he's like had like professional training on his voice, but just the way his voice sounds is so cool and his artistry is so cool. And he just seems like such a wholesome guy when you see videos of him. But guys, every single concert, Post Malone has the same song because he went from the bottom and he's now making millions and has millions. He's like 24 in the world, an artist. And he has a song, it's called Congratulations. And basically it's a song that talks about how he was once nobody and people made fun of him and people didn't root for him and nobody believed in him, yet he's now made it there. And that's what this song is about. And every concert he intros the song in a similar way. And he says, guys, I once was at the bottom. Nobody believed in me. But now I'm here with millions of people watching me. And he has this inspirational time where he goes, hey, believe in yourself. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do. He says, chase your dreams and you'll get there. Believe in yourself and you'll get there. And he's preaching this gospel that if you just do it, if you believe in yourself, if you stay true to yourself, you can make it. And the saddest part is that Post Malone, with millions of people listening to him with hit songs, famous, rich, anything anybody could want, he's depressed. He's gonna say he's happy, but at the same time, you'll never see him sober. Guys, that he gets through every day with a drink, smoking, drugs, to get through the day because he has not found what he is looking for in this world. It's sad. It's sad that he's gonna say that if you do this, you'll be happy, yet he's not happy. Who knows Tom Brady? Tom Brady, one of the GOATs. People would say he's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time when it comes to football quarterbacks. And he's won 7 Super Bowl rings. He played for the Patriots for 20 years and then played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? For a couple of years. Rich guy. Probably some of the greatest achievements that man can do. And yet somebody interviewed him talking about it. And what Tom Brady had to say is he said this. He says, why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think that there is something greater out there for me? Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think that there is something greater out there for me? That he is at the end of himself. He's distraught that his work, he's like, there's gotta be more. There's gotta be a point to this. There's gotta be a reason for this. You know, why is purpose so important? Because without purpose, without finding true purpose, our success is empty. The things we achieve is empty. The things we walk through and the things we get to do is empty. It's meaningless if we don't have purpose. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 10, it says this. It says, you have seen the burden that God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity into the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from the beginning to the end. Man, let me read that again. Have you not seen the burden that God has laid on the human race? He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has set eternity in the human heart. The reason that we don't find meaning in the things of this world is because God has set eternity in our hearts. Because God has made us for more. He set eternity into our heart. We're made for something eternal that nothing temporary is going to satisfy. In chapter 6, verse 7, it says this: everyone's toil is for their mouth, yet their appetite is never satisfied. Their appetite is never satisfied. That's why, and that's the reason that we can go, hey, if I could just get my driver's license, I'd be happy. And then we get our driver's license, and we're like, well, now I have my driver's license, that's not enough. Then now if I just get a car, if I have that one car that I want, I'll be happy. And then you get it, and it's like, well, what's next? If I just have one more Super Bowl ring, if I could just have a wife and be married and have kids, if I could just be successful, I'll be happy. Yet our appetite will never be full because we have eternity set in our hearts. But the amazing thing is that if we live according to our purpose, which is to be in relationship with God, and to do the will of God, the amazing thing is that if we live with that purpose, we will have more joy. We'll love better. We'll work harder. We'll have a greater motivation to do things. It'll show through us. We won't look back and see that it's a waste, but we'll actually be proud of the fact that, dang, I lived to a purpose. My life wasn't meaningless because I lived for eternity. And so now the question is how do we live out purpose? And that's a difficult question because I think how we live out purpose, how we live out our relationship with God and the will of doing the will of God, it looks different for everyone because God has given us different gifts. But I think the formula is the same and it can be very similar. And it says it in Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 13. If you just want to write that down, you can also go there because we're already in Ecclesiastes. It says this. Chapter 12, verse 13. It says, now all has heard. Here's the conclusion of the matter. To find purpose, here's what we do. Fear God and keep his commandments. Fear God and keep his commandments. It's simple. It's probably not the answer you wanted to hear. It's not a step-for-step answer. No, it's an everyday thing. It's fear God and keep his commandments. If you feel like the life you're living is pointless, maybe it's because we have the wrong formula of what our purpose is. Because our purpose is relationship with God. And the way we do that is we fear God and we keep his commandments. Purpose is accessible to every believer through this. Now, fear of God, what does that mean? It's not like fearing a monster, running away from him. No, it's not that kind of fear. It's not a horror movie fear. I was watching this video a couple of days ago, and it was this guy he's a zookeeper. And this guy was filming him a documentary of this zookeeper. And what the zookeeper was doing was he's like, all right, this is part of my job. And they're in this cage truck, and they drive over to where the lions are. And the zookeeper, he's like, all right, stay in the truck. Gets out of the cage, shuts the door. As the lions are pounding on the cage where the cameraman is filming, and they're growling and they look hungry, the zookeeper gets out of the truck. He just gets out of the truck and he walks over to the lions, and all he has is like this squirt gun bottle of water. And he's like spraying them with water. It's like that's not gonna save you. He goes up and he's like petting the lions and pushing them around and playing with them as they're growling and smacking at the cage. And the guy who's on the camera, he says to the zookeeper, he's like, aren't you worried that they're gonna eat you? Aren't you worried they're gonna eat you? And the zookeeper, all he says is this. He says, they won't hurt me, but I still gotta keep an eye on them. They won't hurt me, but I still gotta be aware. Because this is the kind of fear that it's saying that we need to have of God is not a fear that we're afraid of him lashing out on us or hurting us. No. Guys, it's a respect of his power to understand that, oh man, those lions, they could rip me to shreds right now. They could kill me in an instant, and I could do nothing about it. Yet I know they're not going to hurt me. I just have to respect the fact that they could do that if they wanted to. That's the kind of fear we need to have of God, is a fear, is a reverence, is an awe, is a, God, I know you are powerful enough to do anything. I know you're powerful enough. You're more powerful than the problems I'm having. You're more powerful than anything. That's the kind of fear we need to have. It's a healthy fear of disobedience. Healthy fear of doing wrong because we know the power that our God has. It's fearing God. Fearing God and keeping his commandments. Because guys, in order for us to live up to what God has created us to do, it takes obedience. It takes obedience. And where obedience starts is it doesn't start by God saying, hey, you know what? You're going to free the people from Egypt. It's not hey, you're going to build a boat for me for when the flood comes. No, obedience doesn't start there. Obedience starts with his commandments, with what he's laid in the word for us to do. And if you're like, I don't even know the commandments, maybe this is a sign that you need to open your Bible. You need to read. You need to hear what God has to say. What are the simple things, simple steps of obedience? Because for us to live up to our purpose, for us to live out the will of God, it starts with the small obedience that we find purpose in. Because that's what we were created to do, created to have a relationship with God. But where that goes is that as we continue to be faithful in the little, God will give us more to our will. He'll give us more to be excited about, more to go to. He's going to call you to something greater, but it starts with the small obedience. It starts with fearing God, understanding his power, that our only way for us to have a relationship with him is to understand his power, understand his holiness, to follow him, and to keep his commandments. And guys, in that interview with Tom Brady, the interviewer, after Tom Brady says there's got to be more, the interviewer asks him, he's like, what's the answer? What'd you come to? What's the conclusion? How do we find that fulfillment? What is next for you? And Tom Brady, what he says is this, he says, man, I wish I knew. I wish I knew the answer to that question. I wish I knew the answer to that question. And to be quite honest, I think we've just come to the answer to that question. And poor Tom Brady, he might never figure this out, but it's that you need to live according to your purpose. Fear God and keep his commandments. It's how we live up to purpose. And through that, we're going to change our schools. We're going to change the ministries that we get to be a part of. We're going to change our families. But it starts with the obedience and living to our simple purpose, the relationship with God. Lord, I thank you for who you are. Lord, I thank you that you have made us for a purpose, on purpose, God. That we're not an accident, that we're not just molecules that have come together, Lord, but you have made us on purpose, that you've knit us together in our mother's womb, Lord. Lord, I pray that you would just allow us to have a simple relationship with you, Lord, that we would have just a fulfilling relationship with you, where we follow and we do what you say, because that's obedience and that's love, God. And that we'd understand that that is actually how we find purpose, Lord. And would you reveal to us a higher calling, God? That as we trust in you, Lord, that you would allow us to have more, Lord. That you give us more to be trusted with, more to be responsible of, Lord. That we'd have true purpose in our life, God, that we're not chasing after the wind, we're not chasing after money, the things that are temporary and give us no satisfaction, God. You are good to us, God. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.